Greetings, everyone. It is great to be here. Thank you for inviting me. It is an absolute honor to join you here today at the U.S. Army Corps Stakeholder Partnering Forum here in Galveston. So let me be the first to thank Colonel Blackman and Deputy District Engineer Byron Williams for inviting me and getting together all of the stakeholders in the region to discuss and explore ways we can better protect our vulnerable communities and mitigate climate change. My name is Earthea Nance, and I am the EPA Region 6 Administrator. I oversee Texas, Louisiana, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and 66 federally recognized tribes. While the EPA defines environmental justice as the fair treatment of all people in the development, implementation, and enforcement of environmental laws and regulations and policies for communities of color and low income, this definition often fails those who are most impacted, as many are faced with a wide range of injustices. In our region, communities of color are exposed to toxic substances from toxic chemicals in Cancer Alley. Indigenous populations are exposed to radiation in Oklahoma, and low-income populations have poor stormwater and wastewater treatment facilities and poor flood protection facilities, such as in New Mexico. As a regional administrator, I have embraced a philosophy that combines better engagement with better analysis to create better protection, as seen in our strategies, such as our EJ roundtables, EJ summits, and EJ action plans. One of the most defining strategies is the development and implementation of our SURGE initiative. SURGE stands for Stronger Engagement for Results and Justice, to improve our presence, our effectiveness, and our reputation among communities and outside groups. Through this initiative, we bolstered our engagement with communities, meeting them in their community to hear directly from them. Nothing happens without communities. Since I took this post, I have held over 475 outreach meetings and engagements with community-based organizations, impacted residents, tribes, and states to understand concerns and identify actionable steps. We have encountered many challenges when working with the communities. Oftentimes, the groups that we meet with don't understand the cooperative federalism framework that we work under. Sometimes different community groups don't see eye to eye. Sometimes there are language barriers. Traveling to communities may be challenging with how large Region 6 is. And underserved communities may not have access to virtual meeting options. With hard work, ingenuity, and perseverance, we have been able to overcome these challenges. We've also worked to protect our region, the region's most vulnerable population, children. We have trained hundreds of community members, child care providers, school nurses, pediatric health providers, and health workers on how to protect children from exposure to environmental hazards by hosting children's environmental health symposiums and healthy homes trainings around the region. We've also partnered with Head Start to train child care center operations and staff on protecting children from environmental exposures, hosting reading time, and providing books to children and educational materials for parents. And we've funded a training program to educate farm workers and their families on how to protect themselves from the health effects of pesticide exposure. At Region 6, we believe in embedding the principles of environmental justice into everything that we do to ensure every community is equally and equitably protected from known and unknown sources of injustices. And we lead the nation in embedding these principles. To meet this standard, we require high performance, innovation, and engagement. In the past, our typical engagement would consist of a regular community meeting where a notification had been posted to announce the meeting, staff would come to the meeting, and largely hold a listening session. It's time to go beyond these basic business as usual approaches and to consider innovation and change in how we do engagement. Through our work, we find creative ways to bring everybody to the table: the community, the scientists, the officials. And we have deep discussions so we all understand what we can and cannot do, such as with Port Houston's Project 11. Project 11 is a major upgrade and expansion to the Port of Houston. It requires dredging of the channel. Because Project 11 impacts were not fully mitigated in the formal review process, and the impacts were not fully understood by the community, Region 6 spearheaded a new type of structured engagement between project proponents, the Port of Houston and the Army Corps, and impacted community groups, including Air Alliance Houston, Public Citizen, Bayou City Waterkeeper, and the Environmental Defense Fund. We called this approach Technical Palooza, and it brought scientists together from both sides in a closed setting to seek agreement on basic facts, witnessed by members of the community. Technical Palooza offered another way to engage communities with Project 11 after the formal processes had ended. This relies on building trust through facilitated dialogue and perhaps through joint local action. EPA served as an honest facilitator. Technical Palooza is about providing a seat at the new table, seeking joint understanding of the science behind the issues, and working toward an agreed response, and we've held 2 of these so far. We actively engaged, and we took people and what they said and created solutions that could move from business as usual to a new day of hope and change. We created a space for stronger data analysis. We moved beyond checking boxes and into a place where we could engage scholars from all over the nation to address problems, such as those in Colfax, Louisiana. There, we pushed past the norms and activated a new level of stronger analysis in projects, where we worked with the community to better protect them from a nearby company's open burn and open detonation facility. For our programs, environmental justice and climate considerations are included in staff analysis and briefings to ensure that both are prioritized and given due consideration. These considerations can also be seen in our rules. With robust public outreach to communities, sound science, and the law, EPA finalized a bevy of rules to stem greenhouse gas pollution. The final oil and gas methane rules were published in March and became effective in May of this year. By addressing new sources today and existing sources by 2029, these new rules will sharply reduce emissions of methane and volatile organic chemicals from the oil and gas sector to the tune of 1.5 billion metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalents through 2028. Written into law as part of the Inflation Reduction Act, the waste emission charge is a potent tool for addressing the waste of methane from sources that emit more than 25,000 metric tons per year of carbon dioxide equivalents. Oil and gas sector sources subject to this charge are projected to reduce emissions by 27 million metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalents through the year 2035. The rule is expected to be finalized this winter. The new source performance standard for GHG emissions from electric generating units went final on April 25th and became effective July 8th of this year. The projected rule-based reductions are approximately 1.38 billion metric tons of carbon dioxide through the year 2047. To tally it all up, we are anticipating a reduction of over 2.9 billion metric tons per year of carbon dioxide equivalent with these new rules. We have also recently finalized stronger than ever pollution standards for cars, banned the ongoing use of asbestos, slashed toxic emissions of ethylene oxide and chloroprene, and finalized the first ever national drinking water standard to protect 100 million people from PFAS pollution. In Region 6, we've implemented novel ways to enforce these rules and hold polluters accountable. Region 6 has the best performing enforcement division in the nation. and we have led the agency in the number of enforcement actions completed for the past 7 years. In Harris and Galveston counties, Region 6 conducted nearly 200 compliance monitoring activities from October 2021 to October 2024. Region 6 also leads the nation in administrative cases with supplemental environmental projects called SEPs, with projects totaling $5 million. SEPs are projects included as part of an enforcement settlement that provide a tangible environmental or public health benefit to the community. They can range from equipment donated to the emergency first responders to installation of vapor recovery systems for volatile organic chemicals. Our follow-up actions from Administrator Regan's Journey to Justice tour went beyond business as usual, and we committed to significantly increase our compliance monitoring in St. James, St. John the Baptist, and Calcasieu parishes in Louisiana. As part of this process, we met with community members in these parishes to gain insight into the facilities of most concern and the affected neighborhoods to co-design the investigation with us. The investigation was an innovative, community-driven monitoring approach utilizing airplane flyovers, air monitoring vehicles, and inspectors with handheld monitors. We refer to this project as the Pollution Accountability Team, or PAT. Our PAT team conducted 24 inspections in 13 days within 3 parishes. We have released a story map and a website that visually shows the public how strong enforcement, strong rulemaking, and strong community engagement protected the parishes in Louisiana. Using lessons learned from the PAT, we designed another enforcement project in the Beaumont-Port Arthur area of Texas, which incorporated helicopter flyovers of more than 100 facilities, a community engagement meeting, mobilizing our air monitoring vehicle, and conducting inspections at 21 facilities. We've posted these 22 inspection reports on the website in April and are conducting compliance reviews for enforcement considerations for the remainder of the year. Another initiative that Region 6 is leading is protecting communities near industrialized areas such as ports that are often EJ communities. Climate impacts from hurricanes and or flooding of waste stored improperly or illegally can contribute to the release of hazardous waste and constituents into the environment. EPA is committed to ensuring that EJ communities are not impacted by improper hazardous waste handling or storage near our ports. Region 6, working with the state and the U.S. Coast Guard representatives, has been conducting RCRA compliance inspections at port facility operators and tenants to ensure facilities are aware of their obligations to properly manage hazardous waste offloaded from vessels. From just October 1st, 2023 to October 1st, 2024, Region 6 conducted 8 of these RCRA port inspections with 157 tenant inspections, 27 enforcement actions issued with 75% in overburdened communities. Let's talk about funding. A large part of our environmental justice effort involves providing resources and funds to underserved communities, which complement the rules and the enforcement actions that we are taking. EPA has been equipped with historic amounts of funding and new programs provided by the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law and the Inflation Reduction Act. The Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, or bill, represents the largest appropriation EPA has ever received in its history, more than doubling the agency's annual budget each year over the next 5 years to fund water infrastructure, environmental cleanups, and electric school buses and other programs. We are investing more than $60 billion into the health, equity, and resilience of American communities. In addition to the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, the Inflation Reduction Act, IRA, provides EPA with $41.5 billion in appropriated funds to support 24 new and existing programs. Never in its history has EPA had this much funding dedicated to communities to address air quality and to invest in water infrastructure, cleanups, and other programs. Just last week, EPA announced the selection of 55 grantees across 27 states and territories to receive nearly $3 billion in EPA's Clean Ports program, which is funded by the Inflation Reduction Act. The Port of Houston Authority was selected to receive a roughly $3 million grant to support the port's comprehensive program that accelerates zero-emission technology in the port's ecosystem. And the Port of Corpus Christi Authority and its partners in the rail and service vessel sectors were selected to receive $105 million grant to begin their transition towards decarbonized cargo handling and shipping operations. The Texas port and collaborating partners will purchase battery electric zero-emission forklifts, a sweeper truck, locomotives, tugboats, and the associated charging infrastructure. The project also includes the purchase and installation of high-voltage shore power equipment for liquid bulk tankers. These grants are critical investment in cleaner air, reduced emissions, and green job opportunities for the region. EPA Region 6 delivered more than $1.7 billion to the region in fiscal year 2024, awarding 525 grants directly to benefiting states, tribes, cities, and communities. Here in Galveston, we awarded a $100,000 grant to the Galveston Bay Foundation, a key partner in the region, to continue educating the public about the importance of the Bay. I've been able to participate in many big check presentations to local and community groups because of the monumental funding that we've received. For example, the Houston Community Group Achieving Community Tasks Successfully, ACTS, for a citizen science air monitoring project. We recognize that many communities don't have the resources to apply for federal grants, so we selected the Deep South Center for Environmental Justice as an EJ Thriving Communities Technical Assistance Center, awarding them more than $10 million to help communities build capacity on grant writing proposals, navigate the federal grant application system, and effectively manage grant funding. Additionally, in December, EPA also announced $600 million for 11 nationwide grant makers under our Environmental Justice Thriving Communities Grantmaker program. To ensure that investment flows into disadvantaged communities, the federal government created the Justice 40 initiative, stating that 40% of the overall benefits of federal climate, clean energy, and other investments flow to communities that are historically marginalized by underinvestment and overburdened by pollution. EPA Region 6 is exceeding the Justice 40 goal in many of our programs. Approximately 77% of the $1.3 billion we awarded in grants last year went to Justice 40 communities. EPA Region 6's Brownfields program, which transforms blighted and contaminated properties into community assets, initiated 27 targeted brownfields assessments and 4 land revitalization technical assistance projects in fiscal year 2024. 100% of these projects are in Justice 40 communities. Our Clean School Bus program completed its first phase, where 90% of the rebate applications received for clean and electric school buses came from low-income, rural, and Bureau of Indian Affairs funded school districts. And our Superfund program, 97% of our long-term cleanup funds and 78% of our short-term removal funds were used in Justice 40 communities. We have strategically and innovatively embedded environmental justice into every area of our work. We have hired an amazing environmental justice team and a director who works diligently and hand in hand with every division to strategically implement new ideas focused on embedding real injustice in every community and every project. Let me say that again. Focused on, on embedding justice into every community and every project. I strongly believe our new approach is working, and our team will continue to carry it forward. As I close, I want to emphasize our collective duty to prioritize the environment that we all share. It has been my honor to work on behalf of the federal government to carry out this mission. I welcome questions and comments from the audience. Thank you. Any questions?
I have a question over here. Are there any concerns by the EPA of these programs being rolled back or, eliminated with the new administration next year?
Well, I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is I've given it my all. I've done everything that I can do to establish not only programs, not only grants, but a philosophy and a way of thinking that has changed the way we work inside Region 6. The embedding philosophy means that the justice doesn't just happen in the community. It happens at the table in the office. The engineers and the scientists that are sitting there making decisions, doing the math, that's where injustice can happen. And so my philosophy has been to address that, to confront that, and to work out ways collectively where we can fix it. So I'm hoping that that stays in the minds of the people I have influenced while I was here. So I don't want to make any predictions about what's going to happen, but I'm very proud about what we've been able to accomplish in Region 6. Okay, thank you.